Hmm.
What I'm trying to say is you can have a software engineering का degree, right? पहले तुम्हें डिग्री देख के डिग्री जॉब मिलती थी, राइट? यू हैव टू
Hmm.
हैव
Hmm.
इन्फोसिस में तुम करो या टीसीएस में, यू नीड अ बैचलर्स डिग्री, राइट?
Bachelor's degree.
All these startup companies, they pick up kids from lead codes and hackathon. You just have to be good at something.
Ha.
And this is where I come in as skills versus.
So, hi and welcome to another episode of Aclaran Cast and Aclaran Academy Show. And in this episode, we have brought to you someone very special with us, Asjad and Abhishek, whom you already know through their podcast. So, hi Asjad, hi Abhishek. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Hi, Ashwarya.
Hi, Shweta.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, guys, I mean, we had a really great conversation earlier, with our when we had this conversation one to one. Now that we have, we had many comments from many different users that we should be having a, joint session. So that is why we are together onto this single platform where we can have a discussion on various different topics. And the topics we are going to discuss are the topics that has been sent to us by the users. So we are going to discuss them all. So starting with the very single questions that we get from our users is that how do you measure success? I mean, is success more of well defined when it is actually social validated by your relatives, when it is you know uh, when it is sent and meant by different people around you? So what do you think how social validation impacts you on you being successful?
I think social. I think it's very subjective. I'm going to start off by saying it's very subjective, right?
Hmm.
Um, but when it comes to social validation, especially within culture, that comes from a place of, I want to say, from a place of love, but love is defined differently in different parts of the country and in different
Hmm.
ways,
Hmm.
right? Like socioeconomically speaking, most of the India is middle class and stuff. So coming from a middle class family, I feel like that middle class culture that we grow around and stuff. Like, for example, just throwing it out, right? You win medals, you win prizes, you do all those things. मोहल्ले वाले किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा. तुम लड़की के साथ एक बार हाथ पकड़ के बाहर घूम जाओ, सारे मोहल्ले को पता है.
Hmm.
Now, sure, it can come from a place of love, but I feel like this social validation structure is around good grades, what's your salary, and people are more influenced by सबका अच्छा हो as long as हमारा थोड़ा सा ज्यादा अच्छा हो.
Hmm.
That sort of a thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I think success is comparative because आप देखते हैं कि आपका एक cousin है, ठीक है, and
Hmm.
your mom is like, my son is doing so good, he went to IIT, you didn't go through, right? So basically आपका success decide होता है कि सामने वाले का success कितना है. So it's about salary. आप अगर आप बोले मेरी salary 40K है, सामने वाला बोलता है 60K, so he wins that game.
Hmm.
So कल आपकी सैलरी 1 लाख होगी, आप शायद उससे जीत जाएंगे, पर एक और कजिन पैदा हो जाएगा जिसकी सैलरी 2 लाख है. सो
Hmm.
दैट स्केल इट्स कीप ऑन इंक्रीजिंग. सो आई थिंक इट्स कंपैरिजन, एंड एवरी टाइम यू विल सी पीपल जो आपसे खराब भी करेंगे और आपसे अच्छा भी करेंगे. सो आई
Hmm.
थिंक इट्स वी शुड टेक इट एज अ पॉजिटिव, इन अ पॉजिटिव मैनर, rather than judging other people and having that jealousy within
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
So, Ajit, what I'm hearing, would you say it's more competitive? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like it's
And I,
comparative means like I'm comparing everyone in a bubble where I live.
Hmm.
right, exactly. Like competition, there's some
Yeah,
sort of competition, right? And I completely agree with you. But I feel like that competition is great for a specific sector. Like it's beneficial, in my opinion, it's beneficial for a specific sector. Like let's go back to like our school days and stuff, right? Was there competition? Sure. अगर शर्मा जी के लड़के के 92% आ रहे हैं, your parents are also going to expect you to get 90%, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like that's beneficiary only for the top 5%, where people within the 90% are fighting within each other and striving for more and more success. That competition is great, fantastic. But I feel like it becomes a little toxic when it's like someone who is physics, chemistry, maths, there's going through those subjects as subjects, because maybe that person is interested in his business or sustainable energy, जो हमें नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है until
Hmm. Hmm.
10th and 12th, right? So for them to keep up with that rapport is more important than like the culture, the society just being like तुम्हारे भी 90% क्यों नहीं आ रहे? That sort of a thing.
So I think so. Being competitive and be having a healthy competition is important to us, but measuring our success on the basis of what the other person is doing is not a right way to measure the success. Right? You can be successful even when you are not doing the best in your family, but you are actually doing good, because we should be focusing more on where we started out. You can never judge someone else without being in his own shoes. Everyone has their own situations, everyone has their own conditions to start with. And I think so key success is actually more dependent on how you have started and where you have traveled far, how far you have gone. So that is would be a more sustainable view of looking at the point of success, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly, I will give you a small example कि आप सक्सेसफुल बनते कैसे हैं, और आपकी सक्सेस की डेफिनेशन डिफरेंट हो सकती है, मेरी अलग हो सकती है, बिकॉज वी हैव डिफरेंट रेस लाइंस, वी स्टार्टेड इन ऑन अ डिफरेंट रेस लाइन, राइट?
Absolutely, absolutely.
किसी के पेरेंट्स बहुत ही ज्यादा वेल्दी हैं, सो ही इज लाइक मैं बीटेक करूंगा एमआईटी से कहीं से भी, एंड
हाँ.
आई विल जस्ट जॉइन द बिजनेस, और आई हैव 100 crore enterprise, right? I can just go in and I work for them. और एक बच्चा है जो आईआईटी जाके भी स्ट्रगल करता है विद 7-8 लाख पर एनम पैकेज के साथ, बिकॉज उसके पास वो फैमिली स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है। सो मे बी वो अमेरिका आके शायद एक फैंग में जाके उसके लिए वो सक्सेस बन जाए, पर सबकी रेस लाइंस अलग है। इसलिए मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि सक्सेस हमें दूसरों पे नहीं करना चाहिए, कंपटीशन हमारा अपने आप से होना चाहिए। पर हम हमारी सोसाइटी क्या करती है कि हमें ऐसे लोग मिलते हैं जो हमें बोलते हैं कि तेरा कंपटीशन तेरे से नहीं है, तेरे दोस्त से है, तेरे कजिन से, शर्मा जी के बेटे से। और वहां पे प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट होती है। वी सी राइट, अभी कोटा में कितने बच्चे आईआईटी की वजह से सुसाइड कर लेते हैं। आईआईटी में नहीं
Correct.
होना
हाँ.
रीजन टू फॉर सुसाइड।
हाँ. हाँ. और
And they're
IIT.
16-year-old,
हाँ.
by the way, 17-year-old.
Huh. Those guys who haven't even started their life, how can they be sure that they are a failure in their life? I mean, you haven't even started
Yeah.
and you are judging yourself as a failure right at this moment. So it's all about the pressure that, unnecessary pressure that we are putting our children on, and, all those kinds of, I think so. It's more about the generational thinking, because when the previous generations of our parents, they had very few opportunities to grow, and that is why they wanted to make sure that their children get the best line, the best education, and so for that purpose they are putting the pressure. We cannot say that they were unjust in their feelings and in their ideas, because they had seen a lot of hardships which we are fortunately haven't seen. So maybe their line of thought was that to put them in the best education form. But fortunately for us, for our children, we'll be giving them a lot of more freedom to start their own work, to build any line. You like we had, like, making money is not a difficult task at this present situation. It is current social era where we get everyone from a social influencer to everyone is earning so much money. So I think so ki our children will have a lot more freedom than we had, as compared to our parents who had even less chances, less fortunate, had less earnings. So yeah. So
मैं
let's
मैं आपको
move on to.
See,
हाँ हाँ.
मैं आपको एक स्टोरी बताना चाहता हूँ कि एक एक कुआं था, तो उसमें दो मेढक थे, ठीक है? तो एक मेढक दूसरे मेढक से पूछता है कि दुनिया कितनी बड़ी है? तो एक मेढक एक पत्थर से दूसरे पत्थर पे जंप लगाता है कि दुनिया इतनी बड़ी होगी, तो बोलता है नहीं नहीं यार, और बड़ी होगी। तो वो थोड़ा सा और बड़ा जंप लगाता है, तो वो देखता है कि हाँ, इससे बड़ी दुनिया नहीं हो सकती, क्योंकि उसका बबल ही उतना है। तो जो आज बच्चे सुसाइड कर रहे हैं आईआईटी में, उनके लिए वो दुनिया ही पत्थर, वो दो दो पत्थर के बीच की दुनिया है। लोग समझ नहीं पाते कि आईआईटी में नहीं होने के बाद भी दुनिया बहुत बड़ी है।
बहुत बड़ी
आज
है.
अगर फेल होते हैं, तो
हाँ.
हमारे लिए और भी ऑप्शंस हैं जो हमें अच्छा बना
ऑप्शंस है.
सकते
और ये भी गारंटी नहीं कि आप आईआईटी में चले जाएंगे तो आप सक्सेसफुल हो गए. आपको तब भी फेलियर मिल सकता है. इवन आफ्टर गेटिंग इनटू आईआईटीज यू कैन बी unpaid, you cannot have a job. These things are common in IITs. It is not about the college, it's all about how you are building your career. Because as I'm talking to you guys, man, I mean, you all have a very humble beginning and you all started out very, very humbly, but right now you are based in Abhishek is based in Texas and Asjad is based in San Diego. So both of them are doing really great in their field of work, and that's a perfect example for all of us that we can have a humble beginning, yet we can scale our career to new heights. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is what I want to ask you is about the upbringing of different cultures. Since you guys have been fortunate enough to see the cultures of India and also from the US, so what are your opinions on upbringing of different cultures? Starting with Abhishek, what do you have in mind?
The difference in cultures, I think the social adaptation. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of what we were talking about. I think it's a great transition. But basically, let's talk about how our parents grew up, right?
Hmm,
For them, मोहल्ले का प्यार डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर ही उठा के लेके जाते थे. That's the
hmm, hmm,
thing that they have seen,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
For them, successful होना है, either you have to be doctor or an engineer, and that's what we were taught.
hmm,
It comes from a place of
hmm,
love. It comes from a place
hmm,
of heartliness.
hmm,
Understood.
hmm,
But that's what they have seen, and they want their kids to be doctors and engineers. Most of the kids that are doctors and engineers, उनके parents doctors and engineers नहीं थे, क्योंकि उन्हें बस दूर से दिखाया गया था डॉक्टर्स एंड इंजीनियर्स ही पैसा कमाते हैं,
hmm,
राइट?
hmm,
सो हमारे पास वही चला है, हमारे सोसाइटी में वही चला है. Now that's the reason India is producing the most number of scientists, most number of engineers in the world right now. Our biggest exporters is human resources, like us.
hmm,
The engineers are the biggest exporters. We are the biggest exporters at that. We are the biggest under 30, the most youngest working class in the world.
sure.
Correct? Now, what's the difference? The difference is we are creating a lot of average engineers.
Hmm,
That's the difference. Sure, we have amazing engineers as well, but the
hmm,
ratio of amazing engineers to decent engineers is quite high compared to from. So I did my undergrad here, by the way.
hmm,
हमारे undergrad में, I went to University of Victoria early on in Canada, and the when we entered the school, like first year, mein, there were 150 engineering seats.
hmm,
150 students were in engineering in that university.
hmm,
That including computer science, software engineering, electrical, mechanical, and civil. Sabko mila ke about 150 students. Okay,
hmm,
in a university. That was the strength of one batch. The graduating class, जो 4 साल बाद या 5 साल बाद graduate हुई है,
hmm,
was just 56. 56 students graduated. It's not that they dropped off. They went on to do other things. Some did
hmm,
business, some did commerce, some did arts, different,
hmm,
right? Now, the difference, what I'm trying to get here is people who do, जो 56 engineers निकले हैं, chances of them being very good is quite high compared to an Indian school which is bringing out 1,000 engineers a year.
hmm, hmm,
उनमें से भी शायद 50 अच्छे इंजीनियर्स होंगे, राइट?
hmm,
बट जो 950 अच्छे इंजीनियर्स नहीं हैं,
hmm,
या डिसेंट इंजीनियर, आई वुडंट से अच्छे इंजीनियर्स हैं, बट
hmm,
डिसेंट इंजीनियर्स है, दैट्स द डिफरेंस.
hmm,
What I'm trying to say is कि वो 950 स्टूडेंट, जस्ट लाइक मेरे स्कूल में भी जो 180 स्टूडेंट्स शुरू किए
hmm.
थे, they might be good at something else and they found that out later
हाँ,
on.
correct, correct.
And that is what I'm trying to get to, that we shouldn't look for mediocrity. Just
Hmm,
because the field अच्छी है
hmm,
doesn't mean मैं वहाँ mediocre होके अच्छा होऊंगा.
hmm,
एक field AI right now is bulging, right? It's amazing. There's a lot of opportunities there,
hmm, hmm,
right? I could be a decent AI engineer
hmm,
and make decent amount of money and be a decent successful, which will still
hmm,
be pretty good. Like I
hmm,
might make 100, about six digit salaries and stuff.
hmm,
But I might be interested in media and I
hmm,
might be a great media analyst.
hmm,
So my issue is, this is where the exposure comes in, and this is why I feel like we as a culture should
hmm,
promote that exposure. That includes including students to go to different universities, see कि पढ़ाते क्या है. What is psychology?
hmm, hmm,
Psychology में पढ़ाते क्या है?
hmm,
What's the difference between mass communication? सब mass com बोलते हैं.
hmm,
Mass communication और different types of communication में difference क्या है? Mass media, mass communication में difference क्या है?
hmm, hmm,
There's a huge line, like micro economics, macroeconomics. दोनों इंडस्ट्रीज में पीएचडी हो सकती है, and they're completely opposite to
hmm,
each other. You might have the same basics. My issue is the exposure, and that could be anything. I grew up in Dehradun, by the way.
hmm,
IMA was like 15 minutes away from my house.
hmm,
But coming from a Bengali family and stuff, डिफेंस का हमें कभी कुछ सिखाया ही नहीं गया,
hmm,
हमें कभी बताया ही नहीं गया. Right? It's always like you have to be like physics, chemistry, maths,
yeah,
sciences, all that stuff.
yeah,
Unfortunately, but if you go to a Nepali household,
hmm,
IMA is the top-notch position because you get respect in your society. You're
hmm,
a man in uniform, and I don't think you can beat that.
Hmm.
ever.
Hmm. Correct.
And
Correct.
that's my thing. All I want, I'm not asking you to, I'm not topifying you any industry into your head. All I want you to do is travel, go meet different industries, go meet different people.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
all I want you to do. And that's what I'm not saying America or Canada does it early on. They don't
Hmm.
either. But what they do is they make sure that the university undergrad life is so big that you can take multiple courses in any field you want. First year,
Hmm.
you can do anything. You want to take a biology, go ahead, do biology. You want to take physics, go do that. You want to take history, you want to take Beyonce's art and media, that's a
Hmm.
course.
Hmm.
Sciences of Batman, that's a course.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to say. That's what university is doing. They're opening up their gates. Key, okay, you
Hmm.
want to take, you want to embrace yourself, you want
Hmm.
to get to know more things, do this. Take more courses like that. And
Hmm.
that is what I feel like. That's the difference. That's the cultural difference. Because if you come here and you say, अगर अब मैं इंडिया में गया मैं बोला what do you do, I am an engineer. Okay, हर कोई engineer, it's not a
Hmm.
big deal. If Asjad and I come out and we say to a localite here, okay, what do you do, you're an engineer, oh my god, that's amazing.
Hmm.
The respect we are getting here as an engineer is so high is because of a simple fact. They think the only people who are getting into engineering are the ones who really like it and who really want to go through with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yes, engineering is hard. Like I shouldn't say this,
Sure.
but compared to
Hmm.
other courses, to graduate in engineering, you have to take
Hmm.
more credits, you have to do more practicum. It's a little more tougher.
Hmm.
So you do get that sort of privilege, and you get like society's acceptance that way.
Hmm.
Like if you say you're an engineer, you are looked in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Asad, what are your views on this?
आई थिंक कि हम लोग इंडियन पेरेंट्स को मतलब एक उन पे क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं बट आई थिंक हम बेसिकली इंडिया में इज अ डेवलपिंग कंट्री राइट
Hmm.
वी हैव फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स इन आवर फैमिली सो
Hmm.
पेरेंट्स के दिमाग में दो चीजें रहती है कि फर्स्ट कि मेरा बेटा जल्दी से 4 साल में पढ़ाई करके ही विल गेट अ जॉब
Hmm.
ठीक है
Hmm.
ही विल मेक द फैमिली स्टेबल
Hmm. Hmm.
बिकॉज आप दूसरे प्रोफेशन में जाए यू हैव टू स्टडी अ लॉट आप बीएससी करते आपको एमएससी करना पड़ेगा पीएचडी करना
Hmm.
पड़ेगा
Hmm.
आर्किटेक्चर के बाद भी जॉब नहीं जितना एक सिविल इंजीनियर के पास जॉब है
Hmm.
तो ये
Hmm.
सारे माइंडसेट रहता है और सब सेकंड चीज है स्टेबिलिटी इंडिया में
Hmm.
एक माइंडसेट है कि स्टेबल रहना बहुत जरूरी है
Hmm.
पहली
Hmm.
तारीख को 10,000 ही है
Hmm.
बट आने चाहिए 10,000
हाँ.
और उसकी जानी नहीं चाहिए तो कुछ ये जो चीज है ना ये माइंडसेट हमारे पेरेंट्स में है वो गलत इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि आई सीन लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल who tried doing different courses and they are
हाँ.
struggling. That's
स्ट्रगलिंग.
also a reality.
बिल्कुल. हम गलती
Yeah,
करना अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि हमारी सिचुएशंस और हमारे
Hmm.
शायद के हालात ऐसे नहीं है कि हम अपने पैशन को फ्रीली फॉलो कर सकें एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ अ जॉब, राइट, इन
अभी
दिस
अभी मैं बोल
सिचुएशन
रहा हूँ
राइट नाउ.
कि अभी जैसे मैं एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि एक बनारस में एक प्राइवेट कॉलेज जहाँ पे मास कम्युनिकेशन होता है ठीक है वहां बच्चे
हम्म.
जाते हैं करते हैं
हम्म.
बट डू यू थिंक कि जो मास कम्युनिकेशन दिल्ली के डीयू में हो रहा है
हम्म.
उससे वो compete कर पाएगा आफ्टर डूइंग दैट बट
हम्म.
इंजीनियरिंग ऐसी चीज है कि यू do it from any college you will get a
हम्म.
basic salary at least in India to
हम्म.
survive.
हम्म.
So
हम्म.
that's the privilege that engineering gives to everyone. That's why the parents want them to do engineering. I know it's a forceful thing, but I
हम्म.
still think that financially, if you want to earn early in your life, that's
हम्म.
why they're pushing. I think so.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But
And
I
I
feel
think so.
like
Slowly, the
I think
situation are also changing right now. We will be doing a lot. We'll be a lot of people right now are following their passion, right? I mean,
Yeah.
looking back at 30 years back, following someone like a musician, being a musician was not impossible. Was not possible. Like in a middle class family, I mean, the only the higher class people were able to follow their passion into music and all those things. But right now, people are becoming artists. They are now leaving their jobs for traveling. There we have now more or of travelers. We have no now different new fields and new jobs are with us available to us too that we can start with. And I think so. This is going to far more increase in coming future, right? Yeah, Abhishek, what were you saying? I sorry I interrupted you. Yeah.
no, no, it's all good. No, I was just adding on
Huh.
to Ajay's point, but Ajay, my point was I agree with you completely, right? And it's more about stability and stuff. But if an electrical engineer or a civil engineer would have been getting a job within their core industry, even as a
Hmm.
Yeah.
pretty decent one,
Hmm.
I would have been with it. Unfortunately, all those engineers who studied for 4 years, civil, mechanical, or electrical, they're all into, at the end of the day, coming in coding industry
Yeah.
Hmm.
in software industry, and that's what my issue is. And of course they have a good
Hmm.
background about it, a layout
Hmm.
and stuff, but
So
All I'm trying to say is
what I've analyzed, right, कि आप अपने पापा को एग्जांपल रहे, वो ऑफिस जाते हैं, वो देखते हैं कि ऑफिस का सीईओ कौन है, एमडी कौन है, ही इज फ्रॉम आईआईटी, ही इज फ्रॉम आईआईटी, आईएमबी की, आईएम से कोर्स किया, ठीक है, वो यूपीएससी क्लियर किया, ठीक है, ये कोर्सेज आप देखते हैं बड़ी पोस्ट पे यही लोग बैठे हैं, आप इंडिया में ये चीज ऑब्जर्व करते रहते हैं। सो व्हेन योर फादर कम्स बैक होम, राइट, वो देखता है कि मेरा बेटा है, ठीक है, वो चाहता है कि वो भी एमडी बने, सीईओ बने, सो दैट्स व्हाई ही पुशेस यू टू बिकम एन आईआईटीएन। तो क्या होता है कि हम आईआईटी की रेस में जाते हैं, वहां हम फेल होते हैं, तब हम इतने दूर आ चुके हैं, अब इंजीनियरिंग ही करनी है, कि हम
हाँ
yeah.
हाँ
11 12 में हमने टाइम स्पेंड किया, तो इन द एंड क्या बचता है यार, आईआईटी में नहीं हुआ, एनआईटी में नहीं हुआ है, प्राइवेट कॉलेज में भेज देते हैं बच्चे को। तो बेसिकली वो क्या
हाँ
है, वो लूप
हाँ
में हम, हमारे पेरेंट्स की गलती नहीं है, वो हम ट्रैप में हो रहे हैं। तो फर्स्ट थिंग, अगर कोई बच्चा 10th क्लास में है ना, उसको पहली बार अपने पेरेंट्स को कन्विंस करना चाहिए कि मुझे इंजीनियरिंग ही नहीं करनी है। बट इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर आईआईटी, तो आप प्राइवेट कॉलेज में इसलिए करें क्योंकि आपका एंट्रेंस में नहीं हुआ है, बट आप निकल चुके हो उस रास्ते पे जहाँ पे आपको इंजीनियरिंग करनी है।
देखिए मिडिल क्लास
But
से होने में
I
एक चीज ये है
genuinely
ना कि वी
feel
हैव फिक्स्ड कैपिटल एंड वी हैव फिक्स्ड टाइम. I mean, we cannot make a
yeah.
lot of experiments with our career. We cannot have a lot of more coaching and to explore different career. That is the main hurdle right now for us. Yeah, Abhishek, what were your point?
No, I'm just saying it's too early, you guys. I think 17 years is too early. We don't have that much capacity that we can choose zero exposure. So we don't know what's out
Actually,
there. The
yeah,
मेंढक वाली story, as Asjad mentioned,
हाँ,
हमारे लिए वही एक कुएं के मेंढक ही हम, because that's
हाँ,
all we have seen.
हाँ,
And this is where I feel like strong role models come in. Like, I'll give you an example, the Flying Beast guy. I might not agree with some of his stuff, but I love the way he's approaching life. He has given zero things about everything around him. He did IIT, but he didn't go do engineering job. He went and became a pilot. Then he did YouTube fair, which is different, whatever. Now he's studying for law. What makes it tricky? सीखने की कोई उम्र नहीं होती है. He's 30 something years old. He's going to an undergrad जो कि 17 साल का लड़का कर. Right after school, LLB करने के लिए, you go right after school, right? So he's competing with the same people for the same seat. And that just makes me very happy, because India में concept है which I hate, कि 18 में हुए तुम्हारा 12th होना चाहिए, 22 तक तुम्हारी अंडरग्रेड, 24 तक तुम्हारी मास्टर्स, उसके बाद काम and all that. I'm not going to get into the social aspect of it, but the working aspect, this is the key. Or if you want to do a PhD, then 29, 30. And this is what I feel like is the big issue. And this is, again, this comes from, yeah, हमारी inbuilt नहीं है, this is all we are getting from colonization. I understand that. But मेरा वही है कि सीखने की क्या उम्र, कुछ नई चीज सीखने की क्या उम्र. If I have to go down right now and become a doctor, मैं बन सकता हूँ यहाँ पे, कहीं पे भी. Forget about India में भी, by the way. Just because लोग सोचते हैं हमने अगर 11th में बायो नहीं ली, हम जिंदगी में डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकते. That's a common misconception.
That's a mindset that we are trapped into, actually, because that's what
Yeah.
the society wants us to think, and that is what we are thinking
Correct. And
eventually.
11th में अगर हमने बायो नहीं ली, do you think how we are 15 years old, some of us are 14 years old. अगर हमने बायो नहीं ली, तो हम जिंदगी में डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकते. How big of a statement that is.
Yeah,
Which
so
is completely wrong, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Abhishek. So that's what brings us to the next question, and that is what we are going to discuss is key about the examinations, the importance of examinations, and the marks that we get. I mean, how relevant do you think the examinations are to your career in a long span of time? Looking at, like, it's not like in the coming up 1 or 2 year where you have an entrance college. Of course, that 12th class number will matter, but when it comes to a long span of building a career in like 10 to 15 years down the line, how benefit do you think that you were from your class 10th or class 12th marks?
So actually, let me ask you this thing instead, okay? Your grade 10 marks, which I'm sure उससे पहले टीवी का केबल बंद करा दिया होगा, या फिर if you had some inhibition, वो भी 10th में आके रुक गई.
12th class तक दूरदर्शन था मेरे यहाँ, no cable for me, only दूरदर्शन.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know the pain, right?
Yeah, correct.
And this is not just you, your entire family goes through. अगर किसी की शादी वादी भी हो रही है, they're like, नहीं, इसका board का exam है, we're not going to go. Correct. You tell me, you are right now, you're a part of an amazing organization. Asjad is here as well, and you have lived life pretty well right now. I want to ask you one simple question. Go back to your result day for grade 10 and grade 12. And किसी में अगर number कम आए थे, you felt bad, obviously.
Absolutely.
उस कम नंबर का आज वेयर यू आर सिटिंग ऑन, व्हाट इज द लाइक उसका क्या इफेक्ट है इसमें?
वेल, अगर मैं किसी को डिस्करेज नहीं करना चाहता, बट फॉर मी लाइक 10th क्लास मार्क शीट इज जस्ट वर्किंग फॉर मी एज अ डेट ऑफ बर्थ मार्क शीट, दैट्स इट. I mean, it hasn't
Which is
impacted me
which
a
is
bit.
exactly what a passport does
Yeah,
or
exactly
Aadhaar
what a
card does,
passport does.
correct?
Yeah. I mean, it has no effect
Apart
on me
from
what I'm
that,
doing right now. But yeah, but I wanted to ask you guys about what is your experience with those marks and all.
see, it's how you perceive that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
मेरे लिए ग्रेड 12th या ग्रेड 10th का मार्क्स इस टाइम पे नहीं इंपॉर्टेंट, बट व्हाट स्टिक्स विथ मी इज द
Hmm.
मेहनत वी आई वेंट थ्रू
हाँ.
टू स्टडी फॉर आईआईटी.
The pressure
अभी
we
भी मुझे
faced.
कोई बोले ना,
हाँ.
करेक्ट एग्जैक्टली, अभी भी मुझे कोई बोले कि अच्छा कल एग्जाम है, कल कोड सबमिशन कराना है, मुझे
Hmm.
पता है मैं 12 घंटा एट अ स्ट्रेच खींच सकता हूँ, क्योंकि आई
Hmm.
हैव डन इट फॉर 4 months straight preparing for IIT.
Hmm. 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 Correct.
So it gives me that mental confidence
Hmm.
कि ये मैं कर सकता हूँ.
कर सकता हूँ. हाँ.
मैं 4 घंटे की नींद पे 3-3 4-4 महीने खींच सकता हूँ,
हाँ. हाँ. बिल्कुल.
right? And the discipline part, I think that is what I've taken out from my 10th, 11th, 12th and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. That I will absolutely agree with you. Asad, what are your views on this?
आई थिंक कि 10-12 के मार्क्स मुझे लगता है यूजलेस है. मतलब इट जस्ट के वो 60% वाला जो आईआईटी का बैरियर है, दैट इज फाइन कि आप पासिंग मार्क्स ला रहे हैं. बट आई
Hmm.
थिंक कि 90% ला के भी, आई थिंक कि आई हैव सीन के जो एवरेज स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं
Hmm.
जिनकी को-करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज भी हैं एंड दे आर लाइक 80% here and they are
Hmm.
confident about what they are doing, they
Hmm.
do much better than the people who are nerdy and getting 95%.
Hmm. Hmm.
बिकॉज आज के टाइम पे क्या हो गया कि इफ यू गो फॉर एन इंटरव्यू फॉर अ बिग कंपनी, व्हाट दे सी इज के यू आर गुड एट अ पर्टिकुलर स्किल. ठीक है, आप कोडिंग अच्छी करते
Hmm.
हैं एंड द सेकंड
Hmm.
पार्ट इज योर कम्युनिकेशन, हाउ यू
Hmm.
स्पीक, हाउ यू
Hmm.
बिहेव, राइट? दिस इज द
Hmm.
सेकंड थिंग. तो
Hmm.
बेसिकली वो एक रट्टू तोता नहीं ढूंढ रहे जो एक कोने में चुपचाप बैठ के कोडिंग करे. एवरीवन वांट्स कि मतलब वो एनर्जेटिक हो, एक लीडरशिप क्वालिटी हो.
Hmm.
तो सो आई बिलीव कि इंडियन एजुकेशन में ये सब चीजें नहीं सिखाई जाती है कि जो एक 99% पूरी टीचर्स का फेवरेट बच्चा था, उसमें
Hmm.
शायद आज वो लीडरशिप नहीं होगी 30 साल की उम्र में या 25 साल की उम्र में.
Hmm.
हो सकता है कि 80% यार उसका स्किल क्या है, उसको एक ही स्किल चाहिए ना.
Hmm.
शायद हिस्ट्री में खराब हो, साइंस में
Hmm.
खराब हो, पर उसको कंप्यूटर साइंस से प्यार है.
Hmm. Hmm.
तो इकोनॉमिक्स
Hmm.
एक एक सब्जेक्ट नहीं चाहिए ना हमें सक्सेसफुल बनने के लिए.
Okay. और
हाँ.
एक छोटा सा पार्ट या फिर एक छोटा क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स एक सब्जेक्ट से.
एक सब्जेक्ट चाहिए
हाँ.
और कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए, बस दो चीजें चाहिए और उसकी लाइफ सक्सेसफुल वो बन जाएगा. पर हमारे
Hmm.
यहाँ क्या है कि वो हम बचपन से देखते थे कि हमें कभी इज्जत नहीं मिली. वो आगे 90% देने वाले को उसके लिए ताली बज रही है, सारे
हाँ.
टीचर उसके फैन है. पर आज
हाँ.
मैं उसको देखता हूँ तो आई डोंट फील कि उसने कुछ ऐसा कर लिया है जो हम एवरेज स्टूडेंट्स नहीं करते.
हाँ.
Fair, but guys, I want to point out one thing though. There's a difference between किसी ने एक मैच में आके 300 करुण नायर एक मैच में आके ट्रिपल
Hmm.
सेंचुरी बना लिया. There's a difference between that compared to someone like Hanuma Vihari who
Hmm.
is consistently making runs.
हाँ.
The reason I say that is, and some being someone who has hired people for his company and stuff,
Hmm.
I feel like that is one thing which I want to play the devil's advocate for.
Hmm.
When I talk about toppers, if I see they have been consistently good,
Hmm.
and that has made them get into a good college, good school and stuff, although their interpersonal skills might not be that great, but I
Hmm.
see consistency. I know this person can work hard. Like
हाँ.
लड़ना पड़ेगा बंदा लड़ेगा.
हाँ.
Like लड़ा ऐसे
हाँ.
like
I think so.
काम
That
करने पे
is
लड़ना
what we
पड़े.
look into people, right? कि how much they, fire they have in them, how much fight they have in them, right? I mean, एक पारी से तो आप किसी को जज नहीं कर सकते ना कि वो कितने अच्छे बैट्समैन है. वो तो कोई भी मार सकता है ऐसे करके. बिल्कुल. तो let's
Yeah,
talk
but
about.
the
हाँ.
board में 90%, sorry, I was just going to say board में 90% is that one knock though.
हाँ.
You
Is one
can
knock.
just do like, right?
हाँ.
So
हाँ.
that's why my thing is I want to see like a extended thing. Like
Hmm.
I have no disrespect for people who have achieved 90%, 95% and stuff. I think
Hmm.
they did a fab job.
Hmm.
I just want to make sure it's consistent,
हाँ.
right? And that's why I'm like, okay,
हाँ.
that sounds good. That means you're consistently good.
Yeah, यहाँ पे is, to in this point I would like to bring out a leaf from my life. Uh, studying in my school, when I was in like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th, I came fourth the most number of times. No matter if I brought 95%, if I got 91%, I got 93%, I would always come fourth. no matter what. So I was started thinking, I after working so hard, I
Right.
started thinking that I was a failure because I could not get first, or I could not get even the first, second, third. Okay, but looking right now at my position, what I was doing, I was good in sports, I was good with people, I was good with communication, I was getting fourth, I was getting 90% all the time. So I wasn't a failure, but it was all that what the society wanted me to think, because you're not getting the first rank. So
It's
ultimately,
all about
हाँ,
academics.
युवराज सिंह है और विराट कोहली है। आप
Yeah,
विराट कोहली से युवराज सिंह
correct.
कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते ना। तो हमें ये सोचना होगा कि हम
Agree.
कहाँ पे अच्छा कर रहे हैं, हम कहाँ पे बुरा कर रहे हैं, वो तो बिल्कुल इंपॉर्टेंट है, पर अच्छे पॉइंट्स भी तो निकालने ज़रूरी है आपको अपने इसके लिए, और यही कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप
And
करता है टाइम के साथ।
agreed. And that's why I feel like India is a great place where you can say there are people who are jack of all trades.
हाँ, हाँ।
We have to make sure that, which is nothing, there's nothing wrong in that, by the way.
हम्म।
But you have to find key, are you want to be jack of all trades or you want to be master of one?
हाँ,
It's up to you.
it's up to you, and you have to, but to be a jack of all trades, you have to identify that you are good at all what those points, you have to identify
Yeah.
those areas. And see, I think so this is also inbuilt in people. Like, some of them are introvert, they are skilled at one particular thing, they're not good at communication, but
Yeah.
they would be master in computer science, let's say. Or someone who is
Mm.
outward, he could be not so good in studies, but he could be good in communication, leading people, talking them, making the initial push to bring them, build something up together. So we cannot say that both of them are failure, both of them are successful, but they're in their own field. So हमें ना ये चेंज करना पड़ेगा कि मछली ना पेड़ नहीं चढ़ सकती तो वो फेलियर नहीं है। ये बात हमें समझनी पड़ेगी, ये बात है ना। तो ये चीज़ कहीं ना कहीं आती है। तो चलिए, इस बात के बाद लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन विच वी हैव।
I
अच्छा,
want to
असद,
add
या
one thing.
हाँ हाँ,
Yeah.
प्लीज असद।
So basically पता है क्या होता है, ये जो 90% कॉन्सेप्ट है आईआईटी में
हम्म
जाना, आईएम में, इट
हम्म
नीड्स अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट, राइट? के
हम्म।
ये तो है नहीं कि एक रात पढ़ा हो गया, ठीक है? एक बंदा जो
हाँ
2 साल दिनों रात आईआईटी की तैयारी कर रहा है,
हाँ हाँ।
95% आ रहा है, तो वो
हम्म।
इतना स्ट्रांग बन चुका है कि उसको मेहनत करने से अब डर नहीं लग रहा है, ठीक है? वो
हाँ
कभी भी
हाँ
किसी सिचुएशन में अच्छा करता है।
हाँ।
इसलिए आज हम जब देखते हैं ना कि सारे टॉप पोजीशंस में, इवन इन अमेरिका ऑल्सो, सारे आईआईटीएंस बैठे, ठीक है?
हम्म
क्योंकि उन्हें पता है कि उनको 24 घंटे भी जगना पड़ेगा ना कंपनी को रन करने के लिए, वो जग सकते हैं।
हम्म।
तो बेसिकली ये एग्जाम्स हम उसको पूरा नेग्लेक्ट भी नहीं कर सकते।
हाँ
इसका तो ग्रे एरिया है कि मैं सोचता हूँ कि 90% लाना मतलब एकदम ऐसे खराब चीज भी नहीं है, क्योंकि उस आपने स्ट्रगल किया है, ठीक है? तो आपको
हाँ
उसने एक बेहतर इंसान बनाया है कि आप
हाँ।
हार्ड वर्क कर सकते हो उस लेवल का। तो
उस
आप
लेवल
जो
का
उस लेवल का, तो आप जिसने आईआईटी क्लियर किया है, तो वो कंपनी के स्ट्रेस में उस सिचुएशन को डील अच्छे से कर
डील
पाएगा।
कर लेगा। हाँ
नहीं है। सो आई
हाँ।
थिंक कि मतलब वो भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है जो हम उसको ऐसे नेग्लेक्ट नहीं कर सकते, वो यूजलेस है। आई थिंक सो।
बिल्कुल। और इसी बात पे हम आते हैं, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की अगर बात देखें, तो जो बड़े बड़े सक्सेसफुल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स होते हैं, वो क्या होता है ना, उनके अंदर कोई स्पेशलाइज स्किल ऐसी नहीं होती कि वो बहुत बड़े टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट में बहुत फाड़ हैं, या कि बहुत तगड़ा कर रहे हैं अपनी किसी स्पोर्ट्स की फील्ड में। दे आर जस्ट गुड एट फाइंडिंग आंसर्स, दे आर जस्ट गुड एट फाइंडिंग देयर वे थ्रू मैनी प्रॉब्लम्स। बस उनके अंदर एक की स्किल होती है कि उन्हें कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आप ला के दे दो, वो सॉल्व करके देंगे तुम्हें। तुम्हें भले ही उनके पास टेक्निकल स्किल नहीं होगा, दे विल टेक द हेल्प ऑफ समवन टेक्निकल बंदा, बट
Yeah.
दे विल फाइंड देयर वे आउट ऑफ। और यही हमें डेवलप करना है, दिस एटीट्यूड, दिस माइंडसेट अगर आपके अंदर आ गया कि आप किसी भी रास्ते से, किसी भी प्रॉब्लम से अपने आप को निकाल ले आएंगे, दैट इज व्हेन यू विल स्टार्ट योर करियर सक्सेसफुली इन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप।
एंड
बट
स्टीव जॉब्स इज अ ग्रेट एग्जांपल फॉर इट।
एब्सोल्युटली, आई मीन द वे ही मार्केटेड हिज थिंग्स,
He was having
लाइक
Steve Wozniak for it.
वो 200 गाने आपकी जेब में होंगे, ना कि 220 MB। That is a very different, like, he actually taught us how to flip benefits into features, sorry, features into benefits, right? So that's commendable. So coming up to the point, the next question that we have, when we, you have been working as engineers in your respective fields, I think so both of you are software engineers. So when we compare the different Silicon Valley of India, and we compare the Silicon Valley of San Francisco, like of US, so what are the key differences that you see in the different environments, in the different valleys of the different of both these countries? So yeah.
I think there's like, so Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore में आया है is because the market in Silicon Valley got super saturated, right? And then they
Hmm,
wanted
hmm,
labor force which were cheaper
hmm,
and stuff. That's why they came to
hmm,
Bangalore. And you can tell that the influence
hmm,
is there, like bunch of similarities. For example, I'll tell you what.
hmm,
Bangalore, for example, you have been in the startup culture as well. You might
hmm,
attest to it too. Degrees don't have that much meaning anymore.
hmm, hmm,
What I'm trying to say is you can have a software engineering degree, right? पहले तुम्हें डिग्री देख के डिग्री जॉब मिलती थी, right? You have to
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
Infosys में तुम करो या TCS में, you need a bachelor's degree, right?
Bachelor's degree.
All these startup companies, they pick up kids from lead codes and hackathon. You just
Hmm.
have to be good at something.
Ha.
And this is where I come in as skills versus degree.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's the emphasis, and it goes both ways. It's happening in Silicon Valley here as well as in Bangalore. People who are skilled, they are picked up like this. There are a bunch of dropouts, college dropouts in Silicon Valley. Bunch of them who are in amazing position. They are um, probably like software engineering leads, like they're founding engineers in their company or they're CTOs, and they're college dropouts because they were good at, like, for coding, you don't need like a college degree. You can basically learn out of experience and stuff too, or by
Ha.
working, right?
Hmm.
So this is what I'm not discouraging people to go to college and stuff. I think if you want if you are to attain skill in a very organized manner, it's an amazing place to be. And also the networking. The
Hmm.
college is a great place to network with people, get to know more people, use your interpersonal skills to grow.
Hmm.
But when it comes to the industry, I genuinely feel skills have overtaken the old school mentality कि तुम्हें undergrad चाहिए, masters चाहिए to apply for this job. Now, if you can code well, you are in. Doesn't matter how old you are, if you're a guy or a girl, what sexual orientation you have, or what sort of position you hold in your college, like what degree you got.
Hmm.
So that is one thing I feel like is very common between both of them. It's more about skills these days.
Asjad, what are your views on that?
Totally, I agree with Abhishek that right now we did bachelor's and master's, but I think that if you are smart, you don't have to do any degree right now in this in this trend going on of in startups. Because I have seen there are lots of startups in Dukan, for example. I was reading about that startup, and the CEO, he did bachelor's in commerce, and he's running a startup in as a tech company, right? सो मतलब हम लोग यहाँ पे सोच रहे हैं कि हम बीटेक करेंगे, फिर कंपनी में एक्सपीरियंस लेंगे, फिर हम स्टार्टअप आइडिया में जाएंगे। पर एक 12th क्लास का बच्चा वो बीकॉम कर रहा है, कोई डिप्लोमा करके यूनिकॉर्न्स बना रहे हैं बैठ के।
हाँ.
तो बेसिकली मुझे लगता है कि जिनके पास पहले से माइंडसेट है, कई बार क्या होता है कि आइडियाज आने में भी टाइम लगता है, किसी को जल्दी आ जाता है, इट
हाँ.
डिपेंड्स। 17 साल में मुझे एक विजन आ जाए,
देखिए,
शायद किसी
आइडियाज तो
को।
सबको ही आते हैं, बट एग्जीक्यूशन इज द मेन थिंग ना। मतलब आइडियाज इज नॉट अ बिग थिंग, वो तो सबको हमेशा हर दिन में हमें 60,000 आइडिया आते हैं हमारे दिमाग में, इट क्रॉसेस आवर
नहीं,
माइंड,
अगर
राइट?
जैसे मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे किसी के पास एग्जीक्यूशन है, तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि उसको डिग्री कंप्लीट होने का वेट करना चाहिए,
हाँ.
बिकॉज इन द एंड आपको
Mm.
आप एक ऐसे प्रोडक्ट क्रिएट कर रहे हैं जो आपकी डिग्री से काफी बड़ी बड़ी
हम्म.
चीज है। एक आप सोसाइटी को एक प्रोडक्ट दे रहे हैं, एक
हाँ.
ऐसी चीज दे रहे हैं जो आपको सर्व करेगी हजारों लोगों को, करोड़ों लोगों को।
हाँ.
आई
और
स्टिल
जैसे
बिलीव।
मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताऊं, मतलब वर्किंग एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, एंड आई एम श्योर यू गाइस हैव आल्सो वर्कड इन डिफरेंट स्टार्टअप्स, व्हाट वी स्टार्ट विद, लाइक एन आइडिया इज अ वेरी वेग थिंग, उसका कोई मंजिल नहीं होती। हम शुरू कुछ करने से शुरू करते हैं, बनाते बनाते वो कुछ और बन जाता है। ये अक्सर होता है। आप ये नहीं सोच सकते कि मैं एंड रिजल्ट यही लेकर आऊंगा। आप शुरू करते हो, फिर आप कंपटीशन देखते हैं, मार्केट एनालिसिस करते हैं, आप चीज़ें समझते हैं, इसमें चैलेंजेस आते हैं, उसे ओवरकम करते हैं, एंड एंटायरली न्यू प्रोडक्ट कम्स आउट ऑफ दिस इंटायर प्रोसेस। तो I think so. Execution is also a very important part of this aspect. So, let's talk this to the next question, which is startup culture versus the corporate culture. What do you think are the differences when I think you both have worked into different startups and corporates also. So, what are your opinions on that? Abhishek?
Um, I think so. I think they're very different from each other. Working right now, we're talking about just working in a startup compared to working in a corporate position. Let me reframe this: working in a young startup. When I say young startup, someone who just had their pre-seed funding, who just found their like seed A, seed B. Let's say like young startup. Okay. Number one, corporate. I think it's very organized. If you want to learn about organization, if you want to learn about how to make sure that the steps are to be followed, because chote mein Asjad run this code for me, it's very easy, right? Between two people it's very easy. But what if you have a triple tier, 4 tier industry? Then you can't just ask one person. There has to be a set of rules, there's a set of steps that has to go through. Corporate, great place to learn those things. How to make sure that efficiency is the key, because they spend a lot of money making sure you're
हाँ.
being efficient.
efficient,
Starting
absolutely.
from having a coffee bar at your office
Huh.
to making sure you have unlimited PTOs.
Huh.
There are a bunch of things. They make sure that like the efficiency remains up of the team as a whole group, how to maintain a good efficiency.
Hmm.
Great places to learn for corporate levels. Now,
Hmm.
when it comes to startup, I think as someone who's getting into the industry, or even who has been in an industry for a little while, it's a great place to learn because there's no 9 to 5 in a young startup.
Yeah, correct.
You have to finish the work, period. Because
Hmm.
अगर आप काम नहीं करोगे, आपके पास pre-seed funding है. You only have 500K in your account, which is sustainable for maybe 18 months to 20 months. That's it.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
उसके बाद अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट मार्केट पे नहीं आया है,
Hmm.
आपकी भी नौकरी गई है, आपकी कंपनी भी बंद है.
हाँ.
So you are a part of that process. So
Hmm.
no matter what, you have to finish that work, चाहे वो 10 घंटा लगे या 20 घंटा लगे.
हाँ.
So there's no 9 to 5 thing. So
हाँ.
forget about like Slack pay. I still get messages at 2 a.m. and I respond back. I'm like, oh, I love this idea. Because kab kya khatakta, you never know.
हाँ.
You can always do that in a corporate field. Teams mein you can message, but you know for a fact shayad message ka reply agle din subah 9 baje aayega.
हाँ. Correct.
Slack on the other hand, you know for a fact koi na koi us pe online hai us
हाँ.
time pe.
हाँ.
Because that was the vibe is. You
Hmm.
want to make sure that people around you are competitive, and this is where like I feel like the competition in the Indian society that comes in.
Hmm.
Because you're like, मैं competition किसी और से नहीं मुझसे ही है, क्योंकि अगर
Hmm.
मैंने ये product नहीं deliver किया by the end of this session and stuff,
Hmm.
pre-seed की जो funding है, pre-seed funding is dependent on तुम अपना product liquefy या market पे लाते हो या नहीं, तभी
हाँ.
तुम्हें seed मिलेगी, तभी तुम्हें seed भी मिलेगी, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I feel like that's one major thing. Like work-life balance, I think you have to
Hmm.
compromise a little bit with the young startups there,
Hmm. Hmm.
just because that's a part of you. Like someone who works in a media, for example. अगर कोई न्यूज ब्रेक हुई है, you can't expect to be 9 to 5.
Hmm.
कोई न्यूज ब्रेक इन हुई है, you have to put on a suit, no matter where you are, come to the office and read it out.
Hmm.
And that's why I feel like if you're someone who want to gain, जिसको सिर्फ खींचना है, अपने पास सिर्फ absorb करना है,
हाँ.
sponge बनना है,
Hmm.
startup industry is a great place to be if you want to learn hardcore skills. But if you
Hmm.
want to like find a sustainable, more uh, like if you want to like build a company and stuff, corporate culture, great place to understand that.
Hmm. Hmm. एंड आई थिंक सो ऑल्सो कि एक ट्रबल शूटिंग वाला जो एलिमेंट है ना वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपके कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर में आपके पास बहुत सारे हायर एग्जीक्यूटिव्स होते हैं प्रोग्रामर्स होते हैं जो आपकी प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व कर सके बट स्टार्टअप में यू आर द सोल पर्सन हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर गेटिंग दिस कोड रन नो मैटर
Yep.
हाउ लॉन्ग इट टेक्स आई मीन यू हैव टू फाइंड अ वे अदरवाइज इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क
Yeah.
इट्स अ डेड ब्लॉक राइट सो वो जो बिल्डअप होता है
Yeah.
एक स्टार्टअप में वो एक अलग ही मेंटालिटी एक अलग ही प्रेशर डेवलप कर देता है और प्रेशर आपको निखार के बाहर लाता है एज अ वर्किंग मैन पर्सन सो असद व्हाट आर योर व्यूज ऑन दिस पॉइंट
तो आई थिंक आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू कि हम किचन में खाना बना रहे हैं, ठीक है? तो एक कॉर्पोरेट कंपनी, एक ऐसी कंपनी होगी जिसके पास रेसिपी भी है और सामान भी है, बस हमें एग्जीक्यूट करना है क्योंकि वो है, ठीक है? इसके पास पैसा है, सब कुछ रेसिपी रेडी है, उसको पता है कि चाय में दूध डालना है, चीनी डालना है, चाय पत्ती डालना है, बन गया,
हाँ
ठीक है?
हाँ
बट स्टार्टअप के साथ पता है प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है कि हम चिकन तो बना रहे हैं, लाल मिर्च नहीं है, तो बंदा बोलता है हरी मिर्च डाल दे,
हाँ
कुटी हुई मिर्च
हाँ
डाल दे, बिकॉज यू यू ट्राई डिफरेंट थिंग्स इन द स्टार्टअप, राइट?
हाँ
सो वो चीज बहुत फैंसी लगती है, अरे मुझे ये टूल नहीं आता है, अरे
हम्म
ये गिटहब से वाला कोड कॉपी करके रन कर दे। सो
हम्म
व्हेन यू
हम्म
डू दैट थिंग, राइट, तो स्टार्टअप आपका दिमाग ज्यादा खोलता है। कॉर्पोरेट में क्या होता है, वही घिसा पिटा है, वही है स्प्रिंट है, वही लिमिटेड वर्क है, वही करना है, ठीक है? बट
हाँ
स्टार्टअप, आई थिंक इफ यू वांट टू बी लाइक वेरी गुड इन योर सब्जेक्ट, आई थिंक
हम्म
स्टार्टअप इज अ रियली गुड वे
हम्म
टू गो।
सो इन शॉर्ट वी कैन
So
से दैट
I
कि
feel like
कॉर्पोरेट्स हाँ लाइक कॉर्पोरेट्स में आपको स्टेबिलिटी ज़्यादा अच्छी मिलती है और स्टार्टअप में आपको चैलेंजिंग एनवायरनमेंट मिलता है विच एक्चुअली वर्क्स फॉर यू सो अभिषेक यू आर ऑन अ पॉइंट प्लीज इलैबोरेट
yeah, no, completely agree with you. And मैं वही बोल रहा था, coming back to the analogy that Asjad used, love that analogy by the way. That is
हाँ
very fair.
हाँ
And I feel like mostly it's more like तुम्हें recipe भी नहीं पता है, to be honest. If you are in the founding members,
हाँ
तुम्हें
हाँ
you
हाँ
have to basically go do market research or find your own recipe. But that being said, I feel like the if you are okay, here's what I believe. If you wanna be a great engineer who wants to like, and there's nothing wrong in building, working in the same company and growing within that company. I
Hmm.
think startup is a great place to start
Hmm.
because you learn a lot and stuff.
Hmm.
But if you feel like, hey, I think I want to make something of my own, I want to start my own company and stuff. Because for
Hmm.
you, the most important thing is going to be how to structure, how to retain your talent. कि दो
Hmm.
साल में लोग छोड़ के ना चल जाए.
Hmm.
And the good place to learn from that that is from a corporate structure.
Hmm.
So both of them have pros and cons, but I feel like it depends what you pick and choose, like what you
Hmm.
really want. So yeah.
So, like, line of that, we have covered a lot of questions right now. So, let's move on to our final question, which has been, it's a very hot topic, and our users have been asking us to discuss this ever since we started this conversation. So, the thing that I want to ask you is about the AI. We all know that the artificial intelligence is growing at a rapid pace, and we all know that it's going to cost us a lot of jobs, which are very repetitive. And India, being a service providing country, is going to be hit the hardest, right? Like, अभी हम ग्राफिक डिज़ाइनर रखते हैं, अब क्या हो गया, ऐसे बहुत सारे सॉफ्टवेयर हैं जिसमें हमने लेट्स से कि हमने रूम डाला, कैमरा डाला, इंसान डाला और उसने एक ग्राफिक बना दिया अराउंड ऑल दोस बेसिक एलिमेंट्स. सो एब्सोल्युटली द ग्राफिक डिज़ाइनर की जॉब तो जाने वाली है, बट मोर हाईली स्किल्ड जॉब्स मे बी शुड बी एबल टू रिटेन देमसेल्व्स. सो when it comes to AI, what do you think how AI is going to help us, or what is your views on this situation that we are going to face in coming 5 to 10 years? I mean, it's not far away, it's very close to us, all those jobs to be being replaced. So yeah, Abhishek, what are your views on this?
See, it's a very like debatable topic, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so AI is a protagonist right now, right?
Hmm.
We don't know if it's gonna be a hero or a villain right now.
Hmm.
हम लोग अभी सिर्फ इंटरवल तक भी नहीं पहुंचे हैं. This is literally the intro scene of a web series.
Hmm. Hmm.
The length that it can go to is immense, and I'm talking about as an industry, by the way,
Hmm.
as an industry,
Hmm.
because it's gonna, let's say AI in food industry, you
Hmm.
have got Food Panda, you have got Zomato in India, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Swiggy in India, right?
Hmm.
A lot of it is using a lot of AI to
Huh.
predict what you want to eat, right?
Huh.
Now, what Google has done with Google Home right now, imagine that being done to your food selection. What I'm trying to say is someone basically influencing you
Hmm.
to eat what they want to and stuff. And that could be market dedicated or market like as the market wants, right?
Hmm.
It could be
Hmm.
seasonal, it could be anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
My question is, or my point is here, I don't think we are ready, number one. And number two, the basic foundation of AI is still machine learning, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like you have to go through a certain level of understanding of a machine, how a machine works, and I'm including
Hmm.
humans as well. How does the machine work and how to be more efficient? So
Hmm.
someone has to up their game because at the end of the day, it's more about efficiency.
Hmm. Correct.
What's more efficient? And efficiency is inversely proportional to labor.
Hmm.
The more efficient you are, the less labor you want.
Yeah. Correct.
Unfortunately, and this is the ideal situation. If you
Hmm.
want to make more money with your highest efficiency, you want to make sure the more lesser amount of uh, human resources are being used so that you're
Hmm.
paying them less amount of money, right?
Correct. Correct.
So yeah, I feel like it's massive topic, highly debatable.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's my stand as an industry person,
Hmm.
to make sure that we can compete with the efficiency.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Ajit, what are your views on this?
So I think that AI is still on the first level, and हम लोग जो बोल रहे हैं कि AI बहुत ज़्यादा grow कर चुका है, still
Hmm.
अभी भी हम बहुत basic चीज़ें भी AI से नहीं करा पा रहे हैं.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
for if you see that robotics video, right? I saw
Hmm.
that video in 2010 के एक robot इंसानों से बात कर रहा है somewhere in Japan, and we are
Huh.
seeing the same video in 2022 with more emotions.
Hmm.
So basically अगर आप देखेंगे ना कि जो AI का जो system है, it's like I know the answer, right? I
Hmm.
will give a small example. Delhi is the capital of India, right? ये एक
Hmm.
fact है. So there are multiple ways of questioning, right?
Hmm.
इंडिया क्या है, मल्टीपल क्वेश्चन उसमें मुझे डेली ऐड करना है, राइट?
Hmm.
सो एआई इज जस्ट बैक ट्रैकिंग ऑफ थिंग्स. सो इफ it needs lot of training in that machine, right? So जितना ज़्यादा training होता जाएगा, it will become more accurate. So it's just about the data, how much data we put into the machine, right? It's just about
हाँ.
that.
But we have
So
seen now, आप देखो, we have seen in different fields like AI is defeating the world's greatest chess players, and it is replacing us in every almost every field where we can feed the data and it can make use of those data to defeat us. So don't you think it is counterproductive to humans to develop AI, which could actually increase the efficiency, but it's going to bring down the standard of living of so many people by them losing their jobs? Like Elon
so
Musk is have been reluctant. He has been saying again and again that AI is going to be a villain. So what do you think about that?
So I will give you a small example. You said chess, right? So what
Hmm.
happens that if you are an average player, you can think about two moves, three moves, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
If you're a champion, you can think about five moves, seven moves, 10 moves,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
If you're a really good player, right?
Hmm.
But what happens with the computer? It
Hmm.
can analyze each and every move. It can be 100 moves, 200 moves. It can see the future, right? Because it
Hmm.
has that mathematic calculation that we can take a lot of time.
Ha.
So
Ha.
it's not AI, it's just the programming that it can do the algorithm, it can do the mathematics using the algorithm. You cannot
Ha.
say that that's AI,
Ha.
because even in 2007 also people used to say that you cannot defeat a computer
Hmm. Hmm.
as an human, because
Hmm.
computer knows all the moves.
Ha. Correct.
So,
Correct.
so it's not AI. AI is somewhere, if you say like the breadth first search and all those things, if you go into technicalities, I
Hmm.
still believe that we require a lot of algorithms to do it, lot
Hmm.
of training,
I
lots of
think
data and all that.
Hmm.
I genuinely think I think so. Right now, the AI that we're using, and I'm going to use exactly what Asjad said. 2010, we were seeing a robot butler, correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
We saw them doing some sort of things, right? We had a voice automated machine back in 2012, correct?
Hmm.
Now, I think it's more about within the years, the AI is trying to be more human. Like, for
Hmm.
example, the Google Home that we are using right now, if you ask them to call a person and ask them, I don't know if you guys saw the Sundar Pichai when he launched the Google Voice, but he was like, "Hey Google, book me an appointment for a haircut." So they literally called the Google Home called the hair salon, and they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to look for a hair appointment. What can you do?" And there were these human emotions called, let me check, or I don't know about that. So the ums and the human interaction, that is what's taking. It's not trying to be more advanced. Yes, it's gathering more information. Agreed to that. But the more issue, the what the AI is trying to do is be more human to be, because what do we compete with AI ke saath? Ki what does AI have that we don't, or what does AI doesn't have that we do? Emotions. Human
Ha.
emotions is the empathy,
Emotions.
emotions.
Hmm.
These are the only things we have that the machine doesn't, and doesn't do a good job at it.
Ha.
The reason I'm saying it's scary, and when you said like exactly when you pulled out the example of Elon Musk, the reason I'm saying it's scary is because if they take away the stuff which was only persistent with us, the emotions, the empathy, the sympathy, happiness, and all these things,
Hmm.
and indulge it in an AI model, it's going to be very difficult to compete with that then.
Hmm.
But,
And
but
I
I
want to
have a
add a point, and I want to add a point here that we humans are very impulsive creatures. Like we take decisions based on what we have perceived, which is actually the result of hormones, which is actually kicking us and directing us into a different direction. So that cannot be achieved. I think so that is also achievable. Like the emotions that we are actually having, the unpredictability that is so beautiful about humans, is not that far that we cannot achieve. So I think so that is something also we can achieve in the long run. Don't you think? Yeah. So Asad, you were
True.
adding a point, please.
yeah, I was giving you an example. So if you call a company, right, they have a AI bot,
Hmm.
you just ask a tricky question, right?
Hmm.
Little bit, what will it do? It will be like, I'm connecting to the agent.
Hmm.
So in the end, you are talking to an agent to solve your problem, because the
Correct.
AI gives you the solution that is so basic.
Hmm.
They will just do the basic things that the company can, like what the company has told the AI. The training is really low. I'm saying that there will be a day that it will be trained so well that it can answer all the questions,
Hmm.
but it's about just feeding data to the machine. But right now, I don't see bots that can give all the answers to all the questions.
Yeah, but they can pretty much replace us in a lot of fields, and they are absolutely going to cost us a lot of jobs. That's for sure. I think so.
Definitely.
That's not going to
See,
be undone.
Arshad, what I'm going to say is, I think you're right, but here's the thing. I think instead of having, so I want you to pick a task,
Yeah.
not say like things can be done. Like as humans, we can do multiple things, right? But take a task. Let's say cleaning, right? Now we have iRobots. All of us have that. You don't need to vacuum your carpets with it. They do it manually with sensors, like the motion sensors. You don't need any of that.
Yeah.
So that's robotic. When you say they don't know all the answers, Siri, Google Home, Amazon, Echo, everyone is doing that. You literally ask them the question, they answer you. Yes, it's not consolidated in a single form. I understand that and I agree with you, but I feel like that's the growth what I'm talking about. That it's growing. That individually there are a bunch of topics or a bunch of subjects that are around us. They do individual work. The issue is, or not the issue, that they're not one form. Like not one robot is doing all that stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I will give you an example. If you ask 100 questions, right, out of that 70 questions, the answers will be going to the first page of Google. They will pointing you to there. They are not giving the answer directly because they are not trained. That's what I'm trying to say. They A machine that can clean can only clean. It is not a complete robot. What we are
Hmm.
planning, right, to do all the like creating robots, doing multiple things with the same machine, I
Hmm.
think it will still take a lot of time.
Hmm.
So what is happening? Like if you talk about voice recognition, right? You said something, she is replying you in your own language. It can be Hindi or English, right? So previously, what we were doing, we were reading that text. Now someone
Hmm.
is answering you in a humanly manner.
Hmm.
So, but AI and robotics means that whatever you have, like they should come up with something. But right now, it's still in the first phase, I believe so.
Hmm. Hmm. So, guys, that was
But
yeah. Abhishek, you had to add something. Yeah.
sorry, one last thing. I was just going to
Ha
say,
ha.
agreed, Rajat. And yes, they might not be giving us the exact right answer, but we have to acknowledge something that they're not giving us a wrong answer either. Like, for example, it takes us to a Google page as the first link to it, agreed. But they're not saying that, okay, this, like, we just found this result on Google and this is what it is. So I agree with you on completely on that there's a lot to be learned on this, and there's a lot of progress that needs to be made. But I feel like it's very relevant to how computers in US started. Like when IBM started in 1965, you remember those massive supernovas and massive supercomputers that we had
Hmm.
compared to what 1990s when every desktop was or every house had a desktop and stuff.
Hmm.
So I feel like that transition, we are in that transition phase right now. And Abhi, it might look like a long time, but maybe in 7 to 8 years, that journey, like remember when we were there, we all of us has used that memory card. You guys remember? We started
Ah.
with a floppy disk, then we used CDs,
Hmm.
which was
Hmm.
730 MB, then we
Ha.
used DVDs, which are 4.5 MB, then small little pen drive, which was what,
Ha.
250 MB for songs and stuff. You guys all remember that, right?
Yeah.
Compared, and then we moved on to bigger, smaller SD cards, and then we moved. Remember,
Then
the
we
phones
had
used
to
to have
put
that big
hard
ass.
disk too, right?
You can consider also
Yeah,
the case of mobile phones. Like in just a matter of few years,
yeah,
mobile phones starting from 0% to covering the entire landscape of the world. I mean, it's grew
agreed.
so.
64 MB. I remember Nokia
Huh.
6600 has 64 MB space.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
means 8 to 10 songs.
Huh.
Compared to right now, all of us are like, oh, we don't need one eight. I don't think we 128 gigs is going to be enough. We need 512
I
gigs.
mean, they have already replaced the wallets. No one is carrying wallets anymore because the phone is carried working as a
There you go.
it's working as a wallet. It's working as
Yeah,
a laptop. It's working as a computer. I mean,
yeah.
there is not a single thing that you cannot achieve with the use of phones.
With
So,
phones.
like the
No,
phones,
I
yeah,
agree. And
huh, yeah, yeah.
no, this is exactly what I mean. Like the progress. I'm just talking about the progress ratio.
Yeah.
Hmm,
So you know how 1960 it started and there was a massive boom, and then it was pretty plateaued
hmm,
throughout. the size
Hmm.
of it, the size of the computers. It wasn't, and then cut to Apple came in and new things started being indulged into it. There was more competition. Wipro came in and all that stuff. And cut to 1990s, they made a small size computer which could be set up in a house. And
Huh.
from there was no looking behind. I'm talking about the 1996 to आज तक का time. Within 2 decades or
Hmm.
3 decades, the the growth was just exponential. And that is
Exponential.
what I'm trying to say. We are in that 19 computer के लिए जो 1960s to 1980s का phase था, I think we are in that phase right now.
Hmm.
It might take a little bit of time, but उसके बाद जो भी progress होगा,
Hmm.
it's going to
Hmm.
be exponential.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I mean, we are already, discussion is so good. I do not want it to end, but we are short on time and we have to wrap up the session. So, it was a really great session, Abhishek and Azad. It was so fun collaborating with you, and it was a learning experience for me as well. So, guys, and for you guys, it's up to you if you want us to come together and discuss, have some other questions. Make sure to put the questions in the comment section and we'll be coming back to this panel. And thank you so much, guys. You are already at 3 or 4 p.m. am, right? Then it's night for you, right? It's for day for me, but it's night for you. So taking out the pain to deprive of your sleep and coming up to this knowledgeable session. It was really grateful to host you guys, and it was really fun. Thank you so much, Azad and Abhishek, and we'll
Likewise.
be looking
Thanks,
forward
Ashwarya.
to more sessions with you. Okay. And guys, if you want to start up your career in entrepreneurship, check out Aclaran Academy, and that's when you can get started with different courses for your journey. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you in another session. Thank you.